Alright, today I have a new Destiny video and I wanted to talk a little bit about rocket launchers. I wrote an article the other day about how I thought Bungie did a very good job at the rocket launcher buff, making them useful for boss DPS without necessarily killing everything else, and also kind of bringing back old mods and old exotics to be potentially useful again. So I just wanted to go through a few of my favorites here with my fabulous Gilded Dredgen Hunter that I'm showing off all season. Probably not something to brag about. One of the mods I'm talking about is Argent Ordnance, which is the thing where you have, if you're charged with light and you switch to your rocket launcher, you get Godslayer Warheads, which is a significant damage buff on rockets. I've pretty much been running this on all of my characters, and there really isn't that much to it. All you need is, one charge of light ability and this in a solar piece of armor, and it's something that, came around a long time ago. I think it was I don't remember when it was. Maybe it was a Rivals, but whenever that mod came, it wasn't really useful because rockets were still not good even when you were using it. But between that and then throwing a couple rocket launcher finders on your gear, which I don't even know, I don't think I have any on right now. There we go, I do have one finder. And reserves and things like that, you can have a lot of rockets and do a lot of damage to both mobs and bosses. So I'll just go through some of my top picks here and talk about what I might be missing. This was something that Fran Mirabella turned me on to when he told me that actually Two-Tailed Fox is really good now. I haven't even thought about this weapon more or less since I got it, and maybe the couple times I used it for Gambit Invasion once upon a time. But all of the exotic rocket launchers got balanced kind of differently. They didn't all get a flat 30% buff, so some made up better than others. Obviously, we know that Eyes of Tomorrow is broken right now, and that's going to be fixed, but Two-Tailed Fox seems to be the one that has gotten the biggest benefit. Warcliff's always been pretty good. I think even Deathbringer's okay, but Two-Tailed Fox is the one that seems to be especially cool for PvE. It has its double rockets, which do a significant amount of damage, especially with Godslayer Warheads. And it does cool things like suppress overload champions and prevent them from teleporting. So it's got some neat little bonus features like that you won't find in other rocket launchers, even if this doesn't have any of the new perks or anything that we'll talk about with some of these others. I put all of my rockets on my hunter here, and you can see that most of them are DUELLOs because it is very easy to farm these in Battlegrounds, and you will end up with a lot of them. This role is one of the new perks, Impulse Amplifier, which massively increases velocity and reload speed, and Chain Reaction, which is not a new perk, but I think this is the first time it's been on rocket launchers. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, no, I think the Beyond Light one from Europa had it, but now the rocket launchers are good, and you can farm this pretty easily. It's back. The other thing with DUELLO is, this is mostly a mob clear build. You can shoot bosses with it, and I do. And you can get the chain reaction explosion from the things that blow up around it, especially in Battlegrounds where the bosses are constantly surrounded by enemies. That will happen pretty frequently. But it's fantastic mob clear, and with some finders, it's just instantly blowing up massive clusters of enemies. The good thing about this is that it is solar, and if you can pair this with Warmind cells, the Rasputin's, whatever it's called, that gives you Warmind cells on solar splash kills, this can spawn a whole bunch of solar cells for you, and that can be integrated into a larger Warmind cell build, so that is pretty cool there. You'll notice that I do not have impact casing on pretty much any of my DUELLOs because I cannot get it to drop, so that is kind of the ultimate god roll where impact casing increases direct hit damage. For this one, it doesn't matter as much. I just this has really high reload speed between this and alloy casing. I don't care about civilian rockets. Blast radius is already almost max, and I don't really care about cutting reload speed in half for this. If I'm on my hunter, I can, dodge reload, and it's fine, but this is something I more use on my other two classes. And what else do we have here? So this is just a variant. I haven't masterworked this. Oh, I do have impact casing on this one. Not that it's as important for this role, but this is auto-loading chain reaction, so if you don't care as much about the reload speed or the velocity, this is just, you always kind of like auto-loading on rockets, so it's not, this is just kind of, I'll try this out and see if I like it better, but Impulse Amplifier is way too fun, so I've been using that We'll keep rotating through the code DUELLOs. Here's auto-loading lasting impression. So lasting impression is the perk that it creates a timed detonation on a rocket. So you essentially hit a boss with a rocket. You can see the little tail sticking out of it as the boss is struck with the rocket, and then after a delay of, it's pretty long, like maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 seconds, it will blow up and it will do more damage than you would have with just a normal perk, and I think more than something like cluster bombs. Again, I'm looking for impact casing, which I don't have, but high velocity, increased projectile speed, reload speed, that's fine with me. Autoloading, I think, is ultimately the best DPS perk for this, especially if you want to be switching between this and like Izanagi's or something for total boss DPS. But I also have the Impulse Amplifier lasting impression variant, which is just fun. And here again, I have alloy casing and like reload masterwork. So if you want a fast reloading rocket launcher, this is for you. One thing I don't have in any of these DUELLOs is field prep. I know a lot of people prefer field prep because it gives you a lot of reserves and it really super maxes reload speed when you're crouched and stuff. And I know it's a great perk. It is. I don't really prioritize it as much, and I just think these new perks are more fun. But I understand if people would want that. One thing that can roll in this slot on this, and I think a couple of the others, is Frenzy. Frenzy is interesting because if the buff is activated, it kind of stacks on top of all the other buffs, like Godslayer Warheads and Boss Spec, for, I think, an extra 20% damage. So the problem I have with that is that getting Frenzy to proc is kind of annoying, so you have to be in combat for, it's not even really clear, like X amount of time. And, you know, when you have your rockets, usually you're just kind of switching your rocket really fast to shoot one off and then switch it back. So to trigger Frenzy, you would have to have your rocket out and kind of be like in combat for a period of time, then shoot it. And I guess you could just, you know, keep reloading it, keep shooting it with Frenzy. But I just don't really love that playstyle. So I haven't really prioritized getting that roll. I don't know, maybe I should, but I think I've dismantled a few with Frenzy already. The non-code DUELLO I have, so this is masterworked and far from ideal, is Royal Entry. This is the specific drop from strikes now. It's one of the strike-specific weapons along with the pulse rifle, and it can roll Clown Cartridge. This is obviously important because it means on every reload you will get 2 rockets. And obviously a moving target means nothing on a rocket launcher, but just Clown Cartridge alone on this is so valuable that I masterworked it anyway, even though I didn't get the God Roll. I don't have impact casing. Again, alloy casing. I really like alloy casing. And then I blast radius. The blast radius is lower than Code DUELLO, and yet this does not have a lower damage than Code DUELLO. All rockets have, or all legendary rockets have the same damage. And the good thing about Royal Entry is it also is precision frame, so it has auto tracking in it, and Code DUELLO does not have tracking. So this, by default, you can get one that is precision frame with Clown Cartridge, and then in this slot, I think it can roll like Impulse Amplifier and a few of the other, and Field Prep, and a few of the other valuable perks that you could get in this slot. And I believe you can also get things like Chain Reaction and Lasting Impression in this slot if you don't want Clown Cartridge. So ultimately, I think Royal Entry is the best legendary rocket launcher in the game right now. The problem is that with every available rocket perk in each of these slots, which is like 6, 7, 8, something like that, and the drop rate on these right now, which may be improved later, but for now, it's terrible. It is very hard, if not almost impossible, to get a God Roll with this. So you can't really grind for this in any traditional sense. Bungie said that they're probably going to increase drop rates on the playlist weapons at some point, so I would not really waste your time just running strikes mindlessly over and over again until that happens. But I do think between the tracking and all the perks it can roll, they're the most potential God rolls for this. One weapon that I know is really good that I do not have is Tomorrow's Answer, which is the Trials rocket launcher, and that has it had this roll before, and it cannot have it now. So you could have gotten one with Clown Cartridge and Field Prep, and that is like a fantastic roll now after the rocket launcher buff, but Tomorrow's Answer no longer rolls with that. It does, however, roll with all the new rocket perks, so you can get things like Impulse Amplifier and Chain Reaction and Lasting Impact now. I don't think it can roll Clown Cartridge anymore. I need to double check on that, but Tomorrow's Answer, yeah, it's another good PvE rocket launcher based on the current state of things. And between all of these, and between Godslayer Warheads, wherever that went, or Argent Ordnance, you can have, a crazy amount of boss DPS for, any situation. And this is why we're seeing everybody use rockets in almost all boss situations outside of select ones where swords or lament are still kind of the easiest, most correct thing to use. But rockets have definitely, accelerated into being the meta for a lot of different boss encounters, and, with chain reaction in certain circumstances can be one of the best mob clearing tools in the game, in addition to generating Warmind cells. So all in all, I think Bungie did a great job with the rocket launcher buff. Now we need to move on to rebuffing MGs that aren't xenophage, and also linear fusions, because I have a few that I like that have dropped over the past couple seasons. They keep putting in linear fusions, and yet they have yet to buff them. I think they're a little underrated. I think they're better than people give them credit for, and yet I still think they need to be buffed. So we'll see if that happens next, now that they've kind of, quote, fixed rocket launchers. But those are my picks for now, and feel free to kind of share your roles in the comments or on Twitter or anywhere like that. Thanks for watching this video. Sorry there's no Evie because this is all on screen, but she says hi. She's right next to me. But all right, I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks so much.